Welcome to Watercolors with Jaylene, and thank you for joining me today. So for today's project, I'm going to do a fun little lighthouse, and this was inspired by a decoration that my sister has in her home, and it's actually one of those tin decorations that you hang on the wall. And it is in sections, and I thought it looked really cool, so I wanted to make a painting of it. So before we get started, I would like to ask you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the like button also. And if you want to be notified when I have future videos coming out, be sure to hit the little bell, and then each time I do post a new video, you'll be notified. And I do try to post 2 a week. So for today, to get started, I wanted to go over my materials list real quick. And it's very basic because this is such an easy design. Everybody can do it. There's no talent needed for this. It's just fun. That's all I can say is it's fun. And it's created, you know, all of the painting on here is done with the metallic paints, which that's what makes it a lot of fun as well. Okay, so I do have my watercolor paper, my metallic paints, a number 6 round paintbrush, and my Micron. This is an 05 nib, and then of course a piece of paper towel and some clean water to clean my brush with. So to get started, I'll set that aside, and we're just going to sketch out the lighthouse, and it's a very easy design to do. So I'll walk you through it. So we'll start with the top, and basically it's just, bear with me, my marker looks like I'm going to be needing a new one. Okay, so we'll put just a simple roof on here, and you can see there's no measuring. It doesn't have to be like absolutely straight lines. That's going to add character, you know, to it. And then we go around. And this is creating the top, obviously. And so then we do want to leave just a little bit of a gap. And then the second layer is the lines just a little bit wider than the bottom to the top. And then we want to just add a little bit of a slant to give it that gradual widening. And so we'll continue on doing this. And you can actually make as many layers as you want. Now I've done 2 inside, and then this will be my bottom layer. If you wanted to go one more, you could always do that, just to make it a little bit taller. And I probably could have used a little bit wider of paper or made it a little bit narrower, but that's okay, you get the point. Okay, so at this point, we're just going to put a base on this. All right, so you'll notice that there are stripes or lines, kind of like a candy cane, so to speak. So we'll put those on there, and I just want to make sure I'm in the full video there. Okay, so to add the stripes going down through here, we'll start here. And so this stripe is going to come down through there. And then here, okay, so then I want to add just a little window, and this window, I'm doing a curved window. If you wanted to do squares or rectangles, you could do that. So I do put in my little crossbar, but then I'm going to just kind of scribble in some darkness to it. And then I'm going to do the same here. And you can see the You know, the drawing on this is not rocket science whatsoever. In fact, you don't even have to be able to draw a stick man to do this because there are no stick men in this, right? A lot of people say that. They can't even draw a stick man, and that's okay. You don't have to. And then up here, I'm going to do just a rectangle type window and then kind of color that in a little bit also. And then for up on the roof, I'm just going to do a couple little squiggles, and these are the shingles that are on there. So once we do this, I'm going to add some accents after I paint it, but I do want to paint it and then let that dry. So with my metallic paints, I'm going to be using these bottom 3 colors and this darkest one. In fact, let me get just a little bit of water on each of these. I had water on there, but it did dry out a bit. So for this darkest copper tone, I am going to do the shingles or the roof with this. Now I'm using a number 6. If you wanted to go with something a little smaller, you probably could. And with these metallic paints, in real life, I'm not sure how good it shows up in the video, but in real life, these are absolutely gorgeous. And so I'm going to do the roof and then also the body of this top layer. I'm not sure what any of these layers are called or if they even have a name, to be honest with you. And then along the sides, I want to make sure that it's a little bit heavier with the paint, and I'll explain why as we go on in the video. So I did the top layer, and now this bottom layer, I want to do this as well. And pretty much the same thing down here. I want to just get all painted in. And it's just a quick, you know, wash of the paint. We aren't doing anything real detailed. Oops, and you can see I even went outside the line a little bit, and that's okay. All right, and then the same thing down here. We want to just kind of make sure that the sides are a little bit heavier, and with the paint, we want more paint on the sides. The reason being is it does add depth, and once the paints are dry and I go through and add some detail with the black pen, you'll see, you know, just how effective that is. So we do have these done, and now I'm going to take the middle metallic paint, and this is, I'm not sure, I don't know what any of these colors actually are. I don't know if they have a name. The paints that I'm using, we're pausing for a minute here. So the paints that I'm using, the metallic paints, they're Cormerabi. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. So actually there's this would be copper, rose gold, bronze, yellow gold, light gold, and silver. So we're using the copper, rose gold, and bronze. So that cleared up any confusion that I may have had or caused. Okay, so now I'm just going through this stripe and adding a bit of the rose gold. And there's not a lot of paint on my brush, really. You know, there is quite a bit of water, and I don't want a ton of paint on here. We do want to keep it relatively light. We just want to make sure that there's color on, you know, on each one of these. So let's get a little bit more and get this colored in. I wish I had a picture of the wall hanging that is in my mind that I am recreating on paper, but unfortunately I do not. If I can maybe get my sister to send me one, I'll try and post it, but no promises. My editing skills need a lot of work. That's my weakest link with all of this YouTube stuff, and I do apologize for that, but I try to at least learn a little bit of something new each week, but it's a slow process. Okay, so for the top portion of this, we're now using the bronze, okay? And so I'm just going to paint in here. And I'm trying not to touch the other paint because it is still wet and I don't want them to blend together. So there's going to be just a little bit of a white area in between, unless I accidentally bump the color like I just did. But so with this bronze, you can see I'm not real technical with all of this. So with this bronze, I'm going through and I'm doing the other portions of the layers of the spirals. I've been actually sitting here doing videos all morning, so I'm getting a little punchy with my talk. I do apologize if I'm not being real clear about any of this, but it really is very easy to do, you know, and just have fun with it. And I'm using these metallic colors, but if you don't have the metallics and wanted to use different colors, you could always do that and just have fun with it and create a fun little lighthouse like this. So now that we have that all painted, I do want to wait a couple minutes and let this dry very well before I go ahead and add some of the details to it. And because I need this to be dry before I start, you know, using the marker on it. And then we can, you know, kind of finish it off and have fun, you know, with the details. So we're going to give this just a minute to dry and I'll be right back. Okay, so I do believe that this is dry enough now that we can start adding some of our details to it. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using my black micron marker, and what I'm going to do, and I'll start at the top, is just kind of add in a little bit of character to each of the layers, and to make it appear to have a little bit of depth. And that's why I wanted it darker on the sides, because that does help with the appearance of depth. And then also with the lines. Now towards the bottom of each layer, I want the lines to be just a little longer into the middle. And then as they go up, they can get shorter on each side. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way so you can see, you know, pretty much what I'm doing here. Sometimes it can be hard. I just scribble in a few little lines. Then towards the top, you can make them a little heavier also. In fact, let's do that a little bit up there. And there's no, you know, there's no right or wrong. You can just kind of scribble them in a little bit. And it gives it just a nice loose feel to the whole design. Then we're going to do the same down here. These little sides, I kind of like to color them in just a little bit darker also. So for this bottom, we can go just a little heavier. Okay, and then as we go up, kind of less and shorter lines, and a couple longer ones around the top. All right. Okay, so you can see how that really added a lot of depth and character to it. And so what I'm going to do is put in like a horizon line, I think, and then down here to give it what would appear to be like a shadow type with my marker. Kind of start out the width of the lighthouse and then get just a little less wide the further away I go. I'm going to add in just a few little dots to give some depth and character to the area, because I add dots to everything for depth and character. All right. Okay, so that pretty much finishes that, but I think actually what I do want to do is just add a little bit of color to the ground and then also to the sky. So when I said I was using just metallics today, I was misspoken on that. I'm going to set those to the side, and then with my paints, this is one of my little traveling paint sets. I'm just going to grab some blue, very, very light amount of blue on my brush, and just kind of with a lot of water, and I'm just kind of dabbing it around a little bit, you know, to add a little bit of like clouds in the sky type of feel to it. So I kind of do that, and then what I'll do is take just the edge of my paper towel and lightly dab it to soften the edges of the blue, to make it look like a real light fluffy clouds out there. And it just takes away that harsh white background to it. And then for the ground, I'm going to grab just a little bit of the burnt sienna with a lot of water. And just lightly, I want to kind of add just a little bit of color, just some light strokes throughout, and maybe just on the side a little bit. There, and that kind of just adds a little bit of, you know, just a little bit of the horizon to the paint, or to the lighthouse itself. So this is the cool little lighthouse that I had seen, as I mentioned, at my sister's house, and it's a little abstract for a lighthouse, yes, and that's why it's so cute. And then with using the metallic paints, that just adds a little bit of whimsy to the whole painting itself. So that's really it for today. And as I had mentioned earlier, if you could go ahead and like or subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Feel free to leave comments below. I do get back to everyone, and I love everyone's input. And then hit the bell if you want to get my, you know, notice on my future paintings. I would appreciate it. So that's really it for now. And until next time, ciao for now.